I'm Zakk White. I am a senior buyer for Worley Engineering.
Hi, my name is Urvashi Carraway. I work with Worley, and I've been with Worley for almost 10 years now. I'm a project procurement manager. In the normal world, we do see a ton of emails that transpire between the buyer and the vendor, and what it turns into is several communication points that go back and forth between one vendor and the buyer. And if you have a competitive bid situation, you might have 3 vendors and the buyer. And then the buyer is having to also record all these communications done over the course of time for archival purposes. So it does turn into a lot of email chains that one needs to keep track of. So in my experience, yes, it has taken us quite a few months to get some mechanical packages pushed through the procurement cycle, specifically in some large projects. This tends to have to do with the complexity of the equipment that we are procuring. Typically, it's a highly engineered piece of equipment. You do tend to see a lot more technical queries that go back and forth between the engineer and the vendor. And that turns into a longer time frame. One of the things that we've noticed as we've gotten to know certain client-based systems such as Ariba, Maximo, and Smart by GEP is that these systems don't quite have all the steps that are typically involved in the industry standard format, such as the inquiry and quotation, and then the technical bid evaluation, the commercial bid evaluation. They only cover the tail end of the system.
Maximo didn't have any RFQ capabilities, so what I've noticed working with Flint Hills Resources and Maximo and Chevron Ariba and Chevron Smart by GEP is that most systems don't have that inquiry module. These systems literally start from PO placement and then they're utilized by our clients primarily for invoicing purposes because they're mostly their preferred vendors.
Requis, on the other hand, is very industry standard. It captures every step that any EPC or any procurement cycle will go through, from the inquiry, quotation, evaluation, the tabulation, etc. It's also a very user-friendly interface. It's intuitive and it's easy to follow through the steps.
I really feel like we did a 45-minute hour meeting going over the several different options and really how to run through issuing an RFQ. A few questions later, we issued 2 or 3 requisitions without incidents. It's really easy to pick up. Once we engage engineering on the use and application of Requis, that's really where we'll see the most time saved by efficiencies. Not only the approval process and getting all of the commercial and technical clarifications, but just the time that we usually have to spend facilitating the conversation and going, following up with all the parties, vendors and internal. I think that's really where the biggest implementation will come from. Now I can see how on a project that had 3 competitive bids, 2 competitive bids, how it would certainly save a lot more time, 2 to 3 times the amount, because you're able to populate the vendors and issue them all simultaneously.
And I can certainly see how this would become a single point of reference for the entire team, specifically the engineers, buyers, and they're able to use this tool in a more synchronized manner.